Hey guys, Kyle here, and today we're going to be talking about the mighty Xbox 360. Yes, I know this is a topic that has been getting a lot of coverage in the last few months, and if you're not aware of why that's the case, it is because Microsoft has announced that the Xbox 360 marketplace will be closing its doors at the end of July of this year, 2024. That has caused a lot of renewed interest in this console, right? The fact it's gotten back into our minds, it's caused a lot of FOMO buying, for lack of a better term. Not only just digital games before that store shutters, but also the physical realm as well. We've seen prices go up quite considerably on a lot of titles, and honestly, I feel like a lot of the videos on YouTube, many of them are well done, but not a whole lot of good, useful, new information has been uncovered, and I think I have a very interesting approach to collecting 360, still very affordable. This isn't going to work for anybody that wants to collect 360, and we'll get into that, why that's the case. I've got a big stack of games, huge stack of games. I'm gonna try not to topple all these over, but yeah, I bought all of these in the last month or two, and I paid less than $6 per game for all of this, and I'll tell you how I did it. Let's get into it. Now, if you notice when I pulled the games up before the bumper here, you may have noticed a lot of Japanese text on these spines, and that is because I imported these games from Japan. That is part of the way that I saved a lot of money on these games. A lot of these aren't going to be super valuable games to begin with, but in almost every case, I saved at least a couple bucks compared to price charting, and in some cases, considerably more than that. Like I said, this won't work for everybody that wants to collect 360, partially because, unfortunately, the 360 hardware is region locked. Now, there are some region-free games, but it's kind of hard to find information about that online, which ones are and aren't region locked. So your mileage may vary if you're running like a US 360. But the kicker, the caveat, and the good thing is that every game I picked up here, all of these games that I'm holding here without hopefully falling over, all of these are backwards compatible with the newer Xboxes, and the reason that's important is because the Xbox One, the Xbox Series consoles, those are region-free. So essentially the way it works is, let's say you take a game here like Ace Combat 6, which is backwards compatible. The reason that this approach works, and really actually any version of the game would work on a modern Xbox, is because really with the way backwards compatibility works, the fact that it's emulation, and a lot of these games actually need to be patched to work properly and to not have graphical issues, bugs, any number of problems that can arise from emulation. Microsoft's actually very good about testing each game and making sure it lives up to a certain standard of quality before they release it. And because of that, you actually get like a nice pre-bundled build of the game with the emulator. That means really all the console is worried about is what disc you have in the console. Like, what is the game that you have in the console, right? Because of that, you can have any version of this game you want. You could have the US version, you could have Platinum Hits US, you could have the Japanese version, Japanese Platinum Collection here, PAL Classics, like literally any version of the game that you can think of. If you put it in any Xbox worldwide, it will just download the game from Xbox Live for your region, your default language, and you're good to go. Really, it's just a matter of finding which version is the cheapest. In a lot of cases, it will be the Japanese version. The Xbox brand has tended to not do super well in Japan over the years. Microsoft has tried to break into that market multiple times with not very much success, and so a lot of these Japanese versions are pretty cheap, and a lot of times it will be the cheapest way to go. And that's the reason I have a whole stack here. So we're gonna go through these really quickly. I just want to show you guys what's possible using this method and the kind of titles you could actually end up playing. We got Battlefield 2 Modern Combat here. Now, this is a game that actually I remember playing the original Xbox demo of, and the reason I bring that up is this is actually a case where not only could you use any 360 version of the game, you could also use any original Xbox version of the game, and we'll actually download the 360 version, which is pretty swanky. So let's say you get like an OG Xbox copy at a thrift store for like $1. You put it in your modern Xbox, you get the nice HD-ified 360 build of the game. So that's pretty sweet, and definitely a little tip there. Additionally, we got Bayonetta, which is a game that I've really wanted to try for a long time. Didn't play it when it came out. This Japanese version was pretty cheap. Thought I'd pick it up. Nice cover. Another platinum game to add to the collection. Another one, Beautiful Katamari. This is a game that came out in the US. Did not get a platinum hits release, but did do pretty well in Japan, and they got a platinum collection version, so I picked that one up. We got Burnout Revenge, a personal favorite of mine. This is another cross-gen release with OG Xbox. In this case, I don't think the OG Xbox version will play if you try to put it in the system. So heads up on that. You do need to have a 360 version, but any 360 version will do on this one. Fantastic racing game by Criterion. I miss this franchise. Next up, we got Earth Defense Forces 3. This came out as Earth Defense Force, I believe 2017 in the US. The naming scheme for this franchise was very weird across the board, but this is a game that I've been meaning to try out. This actually originated as a simple series title in Japan and ended up doing well enough to become like its own franchise outside of the simple series. So been meaning to check out one of these games. I've never played any of them. It looks fun. A lot of just like insect smashing shenanigans. Crazy enough too, buying some of these Japanese imports means that you can get kind of lucky. Now, this one was marked as used. The site I use, they mark every old game as used, but this is actually a sealed freaking copy of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. I was pretty stoked when I opened the package and got a sealed 360 game. I mean, that's just neat, all right? You know the disc is gonna be pristine. It's never been opened. Really happy to get this for pretty cheap, and to get it factory sealed was just awesome. We also got, of course, Halo 3. This is backwards compatible. You can also get the Master Chief Collection if you want to go that route. Any version of Halo 3 will work, so pick this one up. We got a big chonker with Lost Odyssey here. This is I believe a 4-disc game. This is an absolute chonker of a video game. This is an RPG. One of the few RPGs on the 360 that is still exclusive and still locked to this platform, but it is backwards compatible. You can grab any version. And again, you don't even have to worry about language. It will download the language that you need from Xbox Live, regardless of which version you buy, which is pretty sick. We also got another sealed game here, Lost Planet Colonies. I got a couple Lost Planets in this lot. It's a franchise that I don't remember a whole lot about. I think I played Extreme Condition, which I also have here. This one was also sealed. Apparently they really printed these Lost Planet games in Japan, and there's a lot of new old stock apparently, which is pretty cool. We also got Perfect Dark Zero here, which was, I believe, a launch title for the 360. Obviously sequel to the N64 prequel. This one I've heard mixed things about, but I've never tried it, even though I was basically in on the ground floor in the first couple years of the 360. Never ended up trying this one, so pick this one up for next to nothing. We also got Rumble Roses Double X. I'm really a big fan of the PS2 Rumble Roses, so I figured might as well pick this one up. I've heard it's not nearly as good as the first game, but personally, I'm okay with that. I'll probably still vibe with it, and it was relatively affordable compared to the US version. We also got Tom Clancy's Hawks here, which is not a game I know much about, but I do like my flight combat games, right? We had Ace Combat earlier, and figured I'd be willing to give this one a shot, and it was only a few bucks at most. Now, we do have some of the newer Platinum Collection games when they changed the border here. We got Alan Wake. This is a very affordable game across all regions. This one was only like $3 or $4, so I even saved a couple bucks than buying like a domestic version, and I also saved money on shipping getting all these together. So sometimes it does pay if you can find a lot of these games that you want all in one place. You know, shipping is a pretty major cost nowadays, so to try and get this by itself on eBay, I mean, you know, shipping one game nowadays is like $5 or $6. Saved a bunch of money by getting this in a giant bundle. We also got Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. This is actually a game I've never played somehow. I've played other games in the Call of Duty franchise, of course. We also did get Modern Warfare 2, and this was another one that ended up being factory sealed, which is just actually wild. Love that some of these are factory sealed. This one I do want to revisit. I have a lot of fond memories playing this back around the time it released. We also have Halo 3 ODST, another one that I picked up, and I probably haven't played since the release year, all those years ago, so excited to return to that one. We also got Lost Planet 2, rounding out the Lost Planet collection. Once again, haven't played any of these games a whole hell of a lot since probably Extreme Condition came out. Looking forward to trying this. We got Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. Love me some Street Fighter action. Figured I'd pick this one up. Once again, very affordable version of the game. And lastly, we have Tekken Tag Tournament 2. I am absolutely a Tekken fan, and getting this was a no-brainer for me. This one was a little bit more expensive. I'm into the Platinum Hits collection, the Platinum collection, and figured I'd pick this one up, even though it was a little bit pricier. These games are all backwards compatible on the newer Xboxes. I think it's just really cool that Microsoft allows you to use whatever region copy you happen to have, and it will download the version you need regardless, which is a really cool way of doing backwards compatibility. There is the downside, of course, of not actually reading reading the data off the discs. You do have to download from Xbox Live, but I think in 2024, for most of us, that is not an issue much at all. I've got a whole stack of games that cost me not very much money, and I'm excited to get into a lot of these 360 games. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I would love to hear in the comments, what games have you picked up for your 360 collection? Thank you guys for watching, and take care. I've got a big stack of games.